They look like large ant beds pestering Pensacola Beach. On the first day of hurricane season, why some people still can't forget about Ivan. That story's on the way.
Folks here in Florida are stocking up on hurricane supplies, and today is the day to do it. It's the first day in Florida where you can get all of your supplies tax-free. I'm Sheldra Brigham. That story's straight ahead on Fox 10 News.
Good afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist John Ed Thompson. Hurricane season did begin last night at midnight. We'll check the tropics, see if anything's brewing. We'll also check the Fox News Storm Tracker and see if we have showers or thunderstorms out there tonight. It's coming up on Fox 10 News at 5 p.m.
You're watching Fox 10 News at 5 p.m.
As a new hurricane season begins, the sights and sounds of Ivan battering the Gulf Coast are still fresh on a lot of people's minds. It's a scene many folks definitely do not want to see or hear again. Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Grip. Thank you for choosing Fox 10 News tonight. Anissa Centers has the evening off. For many folks on the Gulf Coast, the 2005 hurricane season came way too soon. Some are still dealing with Ivan's aftermath, but many have long since cleaned up all the loose limbs and gone on with their lives. Fox 10 News reporter Jeff Barker tells us in taking hurricane season seriously, where you live may be the difference.
244 days after Ivan, a Category 3 war zone is still in recovery. Pensacola Beach, beyond the crystal green water, home to crumbled dream houses and chewed up and spit out vehicles.
There's rubble all over the place, and people's lives are just all over the streets. Our refrigerator was way over here.
Tarshay Bechtel's house was destroyed on the inside, but the structure remains. Most of her neighbors were not as fortunate. Not taking the 2005 hurricane season seriously here is not an option. There are too many constant reminders. Bechtel already has an evacuation plan.
That's why we got a motorhome instead of a travel trailer, so we could just drive off.
And she says the rest of the islanders will be right behind her if another hurricane is on the way.
The few people that did stay that made the news, I don't think they'd even stay again.
Life is definitely not back to normal here on Santa Rosa Island. Large chunks of what used to be someone's home everywhere you look. It is, however, easy to forget when there are no debris piles sitting around, like here in Loxley. Hurricane Ivan's eye came ashore only 27 miles from here. Wind and flying trees destroyed dozens of homes in Loxley. But 8.5 months later, life is back to normal. Most people don't even think about Ivan.
Not much.
Marlene Gunnison and her grandson, Tanner, say they would evacuate if a storm was on its way. But with no leftover evidence of a hurricane sitting around, they could be in the minority.
There are several I know that probably won't do it, but I will.
How quickly we can forget, unless, of course, we're forced to remember. In Pensacola, Jeff Barker, Fox 10 News.
FEMA says there are still more than 180 families living in temporary FEMA trailers on Santa Rosa Island. University of South Alabama's Coastal Research Center is working to find out even more about these deadly storms. Professors there are using Hurricane Ivan as a model for further research. Every radar screen, rainfall total, and wind speed is vital to a safe future. The school even received a $400,000 grant for an in-depth study of landfalling hurricanes and how to protect the public.
Eventually, I'm going to make this look like the Gulf Coast, so they'll be able to see, okay, this is a storm of this nature. This is what it's most likely going to do. And hopefully we'll have a longer lead time so that people have time to prepare, evacuate.
USA has one former student who is now a hurricane hunter, analyzing the storms from the sky. Alabama's Hurricane Insurance Task Force was in Mobile today. At the top of its concerns, all the people in Alabama still trying to find a new insurance carrier. After Hurricane Ivan, Alpha Insurance decided it would drop wind coverage for more than 2,300 customers in Mobile and Baldwin counties. So members of the task force have been scratching their heads trying to come up with a solution. Today, the task force announced it has set up a referral list to link customers to insurers. That list will be made available to you on June 13th. When it comes to insurance coverage, folks in Florida got some good news today as well. Governor Jeb Bush signed a bill that requires insurance companies to explain in clear language what their policies cover, as well as how much a policyholder's deductible would be in the event of a loss. That's to hopefully avoid a lot of the confusion we saw after Ivan. The bill also prohibits insurers from dropping customers for at least 90 days after a storm. The measure goes into effect immediately. The same can be said for a sales tax holiday in Florida. Right now, you can buy hurricane supplies and not pay any sales tax, but the deal won't last forever. Fox 10 News reporter Sheldra Brigham has more.
Bargain shopping and hurricane preparedness will go hand in hand for the next 12 days in Florida. For folks like Donald Cook, it's important to get a good deal.
A little break always helps.
Cook lost power after Ivan, but this year he'll have a backup.
Yes, ma'am, we're going to get this 6,500 watt. It's got a 7.5 gallon gas tank.
In fact, generators were the hottest selling items in this store.
I hope we don't need it, but you never know nowadays.
Customers loaded box after box.
You ready? No.
And wheeled them to the checkout.
You know, with my family, they're my #1 priority, so having them prepared and be able to provide power when we are having outages so that they can have as much comfort as they can, you know, is very important.
Folks here in Florida weren't the only ones looking to save. Many people made the drive down from Alabama to try and save money on their supplies.
Hey, look what we went through last year. They said we were supposed to predict more storm this year, so I'm going to be prepared.
This shopper says his family was without power for 3 weeks after Ivan.
That's a long time with no hot shower.
That's why he says he didn't mind driving over from Foley.
The tax is 7.5%, so I figure about $50 I can save. It didn't take me about $5 or $10 of gas to come over here, so I'm saving $40.
$50 for him, and state officials estimate a savings of $10 million for Florida taxpayers, meaning right now it pays to be prepared.
You know, all the things that we can buy and prepare for might not be enough, but at least let's do our best.
Reporting from Pensacola, Sheldra Brigham, Fox 10 News.
That sales tax holiday for hurricane preparedness runs through June 12th. The hurricane tax break does not apply to plywood or to storm shutters. Well, on this first day of the hurricane season, what is the weather looking like? Chief Meteorologist John Thompson has the answer for us.
Well, Bob, let's go ahead and look at where the storms should form during the month of June. Now, over the last 118 years, we've had 65 storms form in June. That makes one about every 2 years. They usually form here in the Gulf of Mexico or in the Western Caribbean. So looking from the Western Caribbean to the Gulf is where we'd be looking for storms right now and through the entire month of June. There are some scattered rain showers out there. There's some coming off of Texas right now. There's some running across Florida into the Atlantic, and the showers we had last night are pushing up the Atlantic seaboard. There's rain over here into the Western Caribbean. None of these are tropical systems. In other words, they're not depressions, they're not tropical storms. So let's look closer to home and show you what we have out there right now. We've got some scattered rain showers running across Alabama, rain showers coming up from the Gulf of Mexico, and we're not talking tropical system. There is tropical moisture coming up from the Gulf of Mexico, but that's what we have going on right now, rolling up across eastern Alabama, across Georgia, and new rain developing over here from Texas into Arkansas and Louisiana. So as we go through the night, we're looking at scattered rain showers redeveloping in our area and staying with us into tomorrow. Outside right now, it's 80 in Mobile, it's 83 in Pensacola. It feels like 83 in Mobile, and it feels like 86 in Pensacola. By 7 o'clock, it's going to be cloudy, muggy, and 79 degrees. By 9 o'clock, with southwest winds, the temperature will still be about 75 degrees. The winds tonight, southwest at 5 to 10. We're going to talk with Max Mayfield, the director of the National Hurricane Center, coming up in just a little bit, Bob, here on Fox 10 News at 5 p.m.
Thank you, John Ed. We have a health alert to tell you about tonight. The West Nile virus and Eastern equine encephalitis, also known as Triple E, have already shown up in Baldwin County. The mosquito-borne diseases were detected by sentinel chickens in the Magnolia Springs area. And get this, the chickens haven't even been spread out to other parts of the county yet. They were being kept in this one area before being moved to their permanent locations to help detect the diseases. The health department says it should be safe to assume that both West Nile and Triple E are likely being carried by mosquitoes to all parts of Baldwin County, so you really need to protect yourself. Make sure when you go outside that you wear mosquito repellent. We'll have a lot more on this story coming up on Fox 10 News at 5:30 p.m. Tonight we have a follow-up we wish we didn't have to make. 4 airmen killed in a plane crash in Iraq were stationed here on the Gulf Coast. Meanwhile, it was also a somber day in Gulfport.
Aim. Fire.
Another local soldier was laid to rest. We'll take you to his memorial service. And later.
A Grand Bay family is mourning the death of a little girl killed crossing the street near her own home. I'm Renee Dowles, and I'll have that story coming up at 5:30 here on Fox 10 News.
When you're looking for weather information.
So the showers are tracking off to the north right now. Scattered showers are out there at this hour. They're going to be out there for a while.
You'll know to stop and watch the Fox 10 News meteorologists who will bring you the latest information when you need it most. Depend on Fox 10 News Storm Tracker at 5 and 9 p.m. The Fox 10 News meteorologists are dedicated to tracking storms until they are no longer a threat to you. Depend on Fox 10 News Storm Tracker at 5 and 9 p.m. You're watching Fox 10 News at 5 p.m.
Fox 10 News has learned the names of 4 airmen killed in Iraq who were stationed here on the Gulf Coast. Captain Jeremy Fresk, Captain Derek Argel, Staff Sergeant Casey Crate, and Major William Downs all died when their airplane crashed Monday. Downs was piloting the aircraft when it went down. He was from Virginia. All 4 men were stationed at Hurlburt Field. That's in Okaloosa County, Florida. They were on board a training flight on an Iraqi plane that crashed about 80 miles northeast of Baghdad. It happened again on Memorial Day, Monday. An Iraqi pilot was also killed. The crash is still under investigation, but right now officials don't believe it was shot down. It's a possibility that strong winds may have caused that crash. A Mississippi soldier was laid to rest today. Army Specialist Brian Barron was killed when an explosive device blew up near his Humvee. It happened last week in Iraq. Barron's funeral was held today in southern Mississippi. Fox 10 News reporter Denise Herlica attended it. She'll bring you the full story of this patriotic service tonight on Fox 10 News at 9 p.m. 3 other members of Barron's unit were also killed during the same attack, including another soldier from Gulfport, Specialist Danny Varnado. Varnado's funeral will be held Friday at noon at the Michael Memorial Baptist Church. He, too, will be buried with full military honors at Biloxi's National Cemetery. Al-Qaeda in Iraq is claiming responsibility for a suicide car bombing in Baghdad. It happened at a checkpoint near the airport. At least 7 people were injured in the explosion. The blast also destroyed a number of vehicles. Another suicide bombing, this one at a mosque in Afghanistan. It happened during a funeral for a Muslim cleric who was opposed to the Taliban. At least 20 people were killed. More than 40 others were wounded. It's believed al-Qaeda-linked militants could be responsible for the attack. There's been a lot of rebel violence in this region lately, and some fear militants in Afghanistan are copying the tactics of insurgents in Iraq. Officials in Cleveland are now saying the worst house fire in their city was no accident. The fire 2 weekends ago killed 9 people, 8 of them children. During the investigation, fire officials found an accelerant that was used to get the fire to burn quickly. The city's fire chief says the first clue that this case might be arson was that none of the victims was able to escape. The home did have a working smoke detector. So far, police have made no arrests. Today may mark the beginning of hurricane season, but some folks in Florida have another weather problem to deal with. And talk about Mother Nature dishing out her fury. After the break, we'll take you to California, the scene of some spectacular landslides.
Heavy recent rains and Hurricane Ivan debris could make this one of the worst seasons ever for the West Nile virus. I'm Adam Walser in Bond Secure. That story coming up at 5:30.
Right now, checking the temperatures around the region, we have 83 degrees in Pensacola at the airport, also at Brooklyn on the Bay in Mobile. It's 80 in Mobile and 80 at NAS. It's also 80 in Jackson and Evergreen. The headlines tonight are it's going to be warm, it's going to be humid. Some thunderstorms will develop later on. Clouds and scattered showers. That's the way it looks for Thursday. I've got to look at the overnight lows, and we're going to talk to Max Mayfield of the National Hurricane Center in just a few minutes.
Folks in Central Florida are busy cleaning up. That's after a tornado touched down overnight. Take a look. This is video from Pasco County. That's near the Tampa Bay area. The twister damaged a number of homes and businesses. Many folks lost power. So far, though, no injuries have been reported. Just listen to all that hail that pelted western Texas overnight. This is video from Lubbock. The storm caused a lot of damage to vehicles, breaking windshields, also damaged local crops. It was a real mess out there, and we always worry when there's bad weather in Texas it's going to come our way. John Ed Thompson has more on that.
We'll talk about that, Bob, and we'll also talk about hurricanes. You know, when a hurricane causes major damage or loss of life, its name is retired. Thus, there will never be another Andrew or Camille. And the 4 storms that affected Florida in 2004, Charlie, Francis, Jean, and of course Ivan, they caused much damage, and in some cases, lives were lost. Max Mayfield, director of the National Hurricane Center, says those names are being replaced.
Actually, just a few weeks ago, we had our International Regional Hurricane Committee meeting down in Costa Rica, and we replaced Charlie with Colin, Francis with Fiona, Ivan with Igor, and Jean with Julia. Sorry, I couldn't think of that, but those names are already replaced, and we'll come back to those 6 years from now.
Last year we had that strong high between the Bahamas and Bermuda. Do you think that high is going to be back with us this year and steer those storms our way?
I don't really know anybody that can tell you with any confidence whether that was an anomaly or if that pattern would stick around. It would be it would not happen for that pattern to be in existence throughout the entire hurricane season. We're really going to have to look at the steering currents on a case-by-case basis.
Max Mayfield of the National Hurricane Center, he said, of course, last year was very active, and we're also looking for a very active year this year. Now, the prediction from Dr. William Gray of Colorado State University, he says for 2005, there should be 15 named storms. 8 of those will become hurricanes, and of the 8, 4 will be Category 3 or better major hurricanes. Now, what's the chance of a major hurricane such as Ivan hitting our area from Texas through Florida all the way over to Apalachicola? Well, here's the chance. 44%. In other words, about halfway there of a chance of a major hurricane hitting the Texas coast, the Mississippi, Louisiana coast, the state of Alabama, and the coast of Florida here around the Gulf of Mexico. So a 44% of those storms. And what are the storms this year? Arlene will be the first one, Brett the second one, then Cindy, Dennis, Emily, Franklin, and Gert, Harvey, Irene, Jose, Katrina, Lee, Maria, and Nate. If we do have 14 storms, it would end up with Maria. If we have the 15 we are talking about, it could go all the way to Nate. What we're doing right now is we're not looking at hurricanes, but we're looking at heavy rainfall rushing up from the Gulf of Mexico and pushing up through Georgia, eastern Alabama, and into the Carolinas. We have a system off to our west, though, that's going to push into the area tonight, and as it does, we're going to develop some showers of thunderstorms. The overnight low should be about 68 degrees in Citronelle and Bay Minette. In Mobile, dropping to 69, 70 in Grand Bay and Daphne, and about 71 degrees down around Gulf Shores. It's going to be cloudy most of the night, but some of those spotty showers are going to develop. In Pace, the low 70 tonight, 71 in Pensacola, 73 in Fort Walton, and Oak Grove about 68 degrees. Into the interior of Alabama, dropping into the mid-60s from Beatrice to Thomasville, 66 degrees in Jackson, 66 in Evergreen, 67 for Atmore, and in Chatham about 67 degrees. And the low tonight for Leakesville, 68 degrees, 70 in Pascagoula and Hurley, and 69 in Lucedale. Here's the way it should be tonight at 10 o'clock, 73 degrees. We'll work our way down into the 60s by 6 a.m. We're looking at muggy conditions and isolated to scattered showers overnight and into tomorrow. Bob?
Thanks, John Ed. It's a multi-million-dollar mystery tonight in Southern California. Take a look. $18 million worth of homes crashed down a hill early this morning with little or no warning. Homeowners ran for their lives in their night clothes. 4 people suffered minor injuries. Officials have no idea what caused this disaster. It wasn't caused by a mudslide because there hasn't been any rain there in nearly a month. It's a new twist in the case of a murder suspect jailed in Mobile County. Investigators say Jeremy Jones has confessed to another crime also. Last week we showed you this fight caught on tape between students and their bus driver. Now there's a new twist to this case as well. Officials say suspected serial killer Jeremy Jones confessed to 4 more murders. According to investigators in Oklahoma, Jones admitted kidnapping and killing two 16-year-old girls. Loria Bible and Ashley Freeman have been missing since 1999. Investigators say Jones told them he shot the parents of one of the girls and set their mobile home on fire. Jones allegedly says he then killed the girls and dumped their bodies in a Kansas trash pit. Right now, Jeremy Jones is in the Mobile County Metro Jail for the death of Lisa Nichols. Her burned body was found last September in her northern Mobile County home. Jones is also charged with killing a Georgia teenager and a New Orleans prostitute. FBI agents exhumed the body of one of the first victims of the civil rights movement today. They dug up the cement vault containing the casket and body of Emmett Till, an Illinois teenager killed in Mississippi 50 years ago, reportedly for whistling at a white woman. Agents hope to prove the body in the grave is in fact Till, and also to look for any new clues into his death. You see, no autopsy was performed at the time. The two men charged with his death were acquitted by an all-white jury. They later confessed to torturing and killing Till. They have since died. Today at Michael Jackson's molestation trial, the judge gave the jury its instructions. The jury will hear closing arguments tomorrow, and they're expected to start deliberating on Friday. Along with the charges of molesting a 13-year-old boy and conspiring to hold his family captive, Jackson is also accused of giving alcohol to his accuser in order to carry out that molestation. It turns out two Florida teenagers will not be charged after getting into a fight with their school bus driver. It's a follow-up to a story we last told you about last Monday. Remember this? A substitute bus driver was caught on this surveillance camera choking and hitting a 15-year-old boy. The child claims he was just trying to protect his younger brother who had cursed at the driver. The two students originally faced felony assault charges. That outraged many people, including the children's parents. They couldn't understand why the driver faced only a misdemeanor battery charge. By the way, that charge still stands against the bus driver. If convicted, he could face up to a year in prison. Mobile County family is mourning the death of a 9-year-old child. She was hit by a truck late last night. Today, Fox 10 News spoke with the family. And remember that health alert we told you about earlier in our newscast, the one involving West Nile in Baldwin County? We'll go into more detail for you after this break.
Looking at our beach forecast tomorrow, there's a low risk for rip currents, but be aware there that could change with the winds picking up. Now, the winds tomorrow should be southwest about 10 knots, the air temperature 81, the water temperature 79 degrees. The wave heights tomorrow 2 to 3 feet and a UV index of 6, which is still high even with the clouds out there. Coming back, we'll look at your forecast here on Fox 10 News at 5:30 p.m. Checking the Fox News Storm Tracker, a bit muggy this morning in Pascagoula, where the low was 79 degrees. The low in Mobile was 69. We were down to 70 degrees here at Brookley on the Bay. In Pensacola, also 70 in Crestview. Evergreen had 70. The low at NAS was 72. As was the case in Destin. Highs today all the way to 82 in Destin, 85 in Crestview, 83 in Pensacola, 81 at NAS, 83 the high at Brookley, around 80 degrees in Mobile, and 83 for Pascagoula. The reason I say around 80, we're going to double check the computer between now and 6 o'clock and see if that 80 holds true. It's still 80 degrees outside right now in Mobile. It's 79 in Jackson. Evergreen has 80 degrees, 79 in Pascagoula, 80 NAS, 83 in Pensacola and Milton, 83 in Crestview, and 81 in Destin. You know, we've had rain showers overnight and through the morning hours. Now, if you pick up in Evergreen right here and you travel off to the east, you'll end up right here in Covington County. And the police were out yesterday with their dash cam turned on. This is what they saw around the op area. Now, that yellow stripe there in the middle of the picture, that, of course, is a yellow plastic guy wire hooked onto a power pole. But this is what they captured on the dash cam of a police vehicle, a funnel cloud reaching down out of the clouds during the rainstorms that were going on yesterday. That's what it looks like. It looks a little bit ominous, but if it doesn't stay down, we're all okay. We just get some gusty wind and some rain. Out there right now, no rain to speak of around southwest Alabama or northwest Florida or even in southern Mississippi. On the big picture, you can see the rain showers lifting away from the Gulf of Mexico. We've got heavy rain in western Tennessee and Kentucky, heavy rain skirting across South Florida, and heavy rain coming out of Georgia on into South Carolina. There's a warm front that trails out of Mississippi across Georgia. Then a little trough reaches down through our area with an area of low pressure right here about Columbus, Mississippi. Now, all of this is going to cause a stormy situation not only in the Carolinas, but back here to the west. Some of that stormy weather that's coming along the coastline could come through our area either tonight or tomorrow. Looking ahead now on the Fox 10 News Future Track, starting at 6 p.m., working our way till 9 o'clock tonight. So a few hit and miss showers are possible. Only an isolated shower or two between now and midnight. A little better chance of rain after midnight. As we roll toward the morning hours, we could wake up to scattered rain showers around here coming across Lucedale and up toward Leakesville. At 6 a.m., it could push on further to the east and also to the south. And as the heating of the day does occur tomorrow, some of those showers could develop into thunderstorms. So watch out for that as we go through tomorrow. The chance of rain around here about 40 to 50% through the region in southwest Alabama and southern Mississippi and even the Panhandle. Tonight's forecast, a few showers, cloudy conditions, southwest winds at 5 to 10, inland lows of 64 and 72 degrees along the coast. That's the lows tonight. Highs tomorrow, 81 on the coast, 84 inland. Warm, humid, and at times stormy with strong southwest winds at 5 to 10. 40% chance of rain. Some areas away from the coastline a little better than that. 30% chance of rain on Friday over the weekend. A 40% chance of scattered rain showers. Highs will be in the mid 80s tomorrow, upper 80s for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There's a look at your 7-day outlook here on Fox 10 News at 5:30 p.m.